I've been working as a bartender in Austin for 5 years now. It's not the kind of job people dream about, but it suits me. The bar is called Copper and Oak, located in the East 6th Street area. Not in the most touristy spot, but not in the middle of nowhere either. Regular customers, students from UT Austin, local musicians, sometimes office workers after their shifts. I know most of the regulars by name, know what they drink, who comes in on Mondays, and who only shows up on Fridays. My name is Kyle Everett. I'm 28. I live alone in a small studio apartment on South Congress, about 15 minutes on foot from work. I've been renting for 3 years now. The apartment is cramped. Kitchen combined with the main room, tiny bathroom, window facing the parking lot. But it's enough for me. I'm not the type who needs a lot of stuff or a lot of space. My life is pretty predictable. I wake up around 11 if I worked until closing. Later, I go to the coffee shop on the corner, Joe's Coffee. Always get an Americano, sometimes an egg sandwich. Then either read, walk around, or just sit at home until my shift. Work starts at 4 in the afternoon, ends at 2 in the morning, sometimes later if it's busy or we need to clean up. I walk home, sometimes bike if I'm not too tired. I don't have many friends. There's Matt. We work together. He's a waiter at the same bar. There's Lisa. She runs a bookstore nearby. We sometimes go to concerts together. But mostly, I'm alone. That's fine with me. I'm not particularly social and I don't need constant attention. I can spend a day off without texting anyone. I don't have parents. Mom died when I was 19. I never knew my father. I grew up in Houston in foster care, but I don't keep in touch. After high school, I tried studying at community college, dropped out after a year, then worked at an Amazon warehouse, then at a grocery store, then moved to Austin because I wanted a change of scenery, found work at a bar here and stayed. I never served in the military. This is important to say right away. Never. Not in the National Guard, not in the reserves, nowhere. I never even thought about it. I'm not from a military family. I didn't have friends who served. I'm pretty far removed from that whole world. Of course, I know what the Army is. I've seen movies, heard stories, but it was always somewhere else, not in my world. My life was stable. Boring, maybe, but I liked it that way. No drama, no problems. I worked, paid rent, sometimes dated someone, but nothing serious. I wasn't looking for adventure. I liked knowing what tomorrow would bring. The same shift, the same faces, the same routes. Everything changed on Wednesday, September 12th. The evening was ordinary. Not too crowded, not too empty. About 20 people in the room, music playing quietly. An indie rock playlist we always put on Wednesdays. I stood behind the bar, wiping glasses, talking to a regular named Rick. He always comes after work, drinks Shinerbach and complains about his boss. Around 8 in the evening, a man walked into the bar. I noticed him right away because he didn't look like our usual customers. He was about 40, maybe a bit older. Tall, around 6'2", solid build, broad shoulders, short haircut, almost a military buzz cut, though his hair was already graying at the temples. He wore a worn denim jacket, black t-shirt, jeans, and heavy boots, like the kind workers or bikers wear. Tanned face, sharp features, deep lines around the eyes. He walked straight to the bar and sat on a stool across from me. His movements were confident, but not aggressive. He placed his hands on the bar and looked at me. "Whiskey," he said, deep voice, calm. "Jack Daniels, neat." I nodded, poured, placed the glass in front of him. He took it, sipped, put it back down, then looked at me again. For a long time. Too long. "Kyle?" he asked. I was a little surprised. Sometimes customers know my name. It's written on the badge I wear on my shirt. But they don't usually start a conversation with my name. "Yeah," I answered. "Something wrong?" He smiled. The smile was strange. Not warm, but not hostile either. Something in between. "Damn," he said. "Kyle Everett. Didn't think I'd run into you here." I looked at him more carefully. The face meant nothing to me. I didn't remember this man. Not at all. "Sorry," I said. "Do we know each other?" He laughed. briefly, as if at some joke only he understood. "Seriously?" he asked. "You don't remember me?" I shook my head. "No, sorry, should I?" He finished the whiskey, tapped his finger on the glass, a gesture meaning, "Another one." I poured. He watched me the whole time, not looking away. "Dave Hollis," he said. "We served together, Iraq 2015, Ramadi." I froze. For several seconds I just stood there, not knowing what to say, then slowly shook my head. "I think you've got me confused with someone else," I said. "I never served. Never." He frowned, not angrily, more like surprised. "What are you talking about?" he asked. "We were in the 2nd Infantry together. You were in my unit." "I didn't serve," I repeated more firmly. "Seriously, I was never in the military. You've got the wrong person." He shook his head as if not believing. "No," he said. "It's you, Kyle Everett. I remember your face. I remember how you were always quiet when the rest of us joked around. You were such a quiet guy." An uncomfortable feeling started creeping in. Not fear, more like confusion. This man was clearly confident in what he was saying. But I knew for sure, I'd never served. I was in Austin in 2015, working at a warehouse. I remembered that completely clearly. "Listen," I said, trying to sound polite but firm. "I don't know what's going on, but you're definitely confusing me with someone else. My name really is Kyle Everett, but I'm not the person you're looking for." He was silent, looking at me, then slowly nodded. "I see," he said quietly. "Okay." He finished the 2nd whiskey, pulled out his wallet, put $20 on the bar. "Keep the change," he said, standing up. He headed for the exit, but halfway there he stopped and turned around. "Ramadi Kyle," he said. "August 8th, ambush on Route Michigan, you remember?" And he left. I stood behind the bar, holding a wet rag in my hand. Rick was looking at me. "What was that?" he asked. "I don't know," I answered honestly. The rest of the evening I worked on autopilot, pouring beer, serving orders, wiping the bar. But my thoughts kept returning to this man, Dave Hollis. He seemed absolutely certain. He named details, place, date, even the name of the route. But I knew for sure I hadn't been there. Never. Maybe he suffers from PTSD. Maybe his memory is damaged. I'd heard that happens to veterans. They confuse people, create false memories. Maybe I just remind him of someone who actually served with him and his brain filled in the gaps. I decided that must be it. Just an unfortunate case. A man confused me with someone from his past. Unpleasant, but understandable. At 2 a.m, we closed. Matt left first. He lives on the other side of town and always rushes to catch the last bus. I stayed to clean up, wiped tables, washed glasses, took the trash to the dumpster in the back alley, locked up the bar and walked home. The night was warm. In Austin, it's still hot in September, around 90 degrees during the day, mid-70s at night. The streets were empty, only occasional cars passing by. I walked down 6th Street, then turned onto Congress Avenue. About halfway home, I felt like someone was following me. I don't know how to explain this feeling. I didn't hear footsteps. On Congress, there's always background noise, even at night. Cars, air conditioners, music from bars. But I felt a presence. Something in the air changed. I turned around. The street was empty. The sidewalk lit by streetlights, but there was no one. Just parked cars along the curb and closed shops. I stood for several seconds, peering into the darkness between buildings. Nothing. I decided I was imagining things and kept walking. But the feeling didn't go away. It stayed with me all the way home. When I got to my building, an old 3-story house divided into studios, I quickly opened the door, went inside, and locked it with both locks. Stood in the darkness, listening. Outside, it was quiet. I told myself I was being paranoid, that the encounter with this Dave just threw me off balance, and now I was nervous for no reason. I took a shower, went to bed, and tried to sleep. But I couldn't. I lay with my eyes open, staring at the ceiling, thinking about what he said. Ramadi, August 8th, ambush on Route Michigan. I didn't know what it meant. but somehow those words stuck in my head. The next day I woke up late, around 1 in the afternoon. My head felt heavy, though I hadn't been drinking. Just slept badly. Woke up several times during the night from sounds, creaking, footsteps on the stairs, doors slamming. Normal sounds of an old house, but that night they seemed louder. I got up, made coffee, looked out the window. The parking lot below was almost empty. Most tenants had already left for work. Just my bike chained to the railing and a few cars. Everything as usual. I decided to forget about yesterday. Just a strange incident. A man made a mistake. It happens. Around 3 o'clock, I walked to work. The day was sunny, hot, lots of people on the streets, students, tourists, office workers on lunch break. I walked my usual route. Congress Avenue to 6th Street, then right. Passing Joe's coffee shop, I saw him. Dave was sitting at a table on the terrace right by the sidewalk. A cup of coffee in front of him. He was looking at his phone, but when I walked by, he looked up and stared right at me. Our eyes met for a second. He nodded. I didn't respond, just quickened my pace and kept walking. My heart was beating faster than it should. I told myself it was a coincidence. Joe's Coffee is a popular place. Lots of people go there. Maybe he lives in the area. Maybe he just stopped for coffee. Nothing strange. But why at this exact time? Why right where I always pass? I got to the bar and started preparing for my shift. Matt was already there, arranging chairs. "You look okay?" he asked, looking at me. "Yeah," I answered. "Just didn't sleep well." "You had that weird dude yesterday," Matt said. "The one who said you served together." "He was mistaken," I said shortly. "He seemed serious," Matt continued, like really believed what he was saying. "He probably has PTSD or something," I said. "Confused me with someone." Matt nodded and didn't bring it up again. The evening passed quietly. Thursday, usually a medium day. Not empty, but not packed. I worked, talked with customers, tried not to think about Dave. Around 9 in the evening, I went outside to smoke. I don't smoke regularly, only sometimes when I'm nervous. Stood by the back door of the bar, in the alley where we take out the trash. Pulled out a cigarette, lit it. The alley was empty, just the dumpster and some cardboard boxes against the wall. The light above the door burned dimly. I stood smoking, looking into the darkness of the alley, and suddenly saw movement. At the end of the alley, where it opened onto the street, stood a figure. A person. Tall, broad shoulders. Too far to make out the face, but the silhouette was familiar. I froze, holding the cigarette in my hand. The figure didn't move. Just stood there, in the shadow between two buildings. "Hey!" I shouted. No answer, the figure stood. I took a step forward. "Who's there?" The figure turned and walked around the corner, quickly but not running. I stood for a few more seconds, then went back into the bar. My hands were shaking slightly. I stubbed out the cigarette and went inside. Matt noticed. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I lied. "Everything's fine." But it wasn't fine. I knew what I'd seen. It was him, Dave, standing in the alley, watching me. Or was I imagining it? Maybe it was someone else? Just a passerby who wandered into the alley, then changed their mind? A silhouette in the dark could be anyone. But deep down, I knew it was him. The rest of the shift I spent tense. Every time the door opened, I turned around, expecting to see Dave. But he didn't come. At 2 o'clock, we closed. Matt left. I stayed to clean up. Washed glasses, wiped the bar, took out the trash. When I went into the alley with the bag, I looked around. The alley was empty. No one. I threw the bag in the dumpster and quickly went back inside, locked the bar and went home. This time not on foot, took my bike that I'd left near the bar in the morning. Rode fast, looking over my shoulder. The streets were almost empty, just occasional cars and a couple of night pedestrians. No one suspicious. Got home, brought the bike into the hallway, went up to the second floor, entered my apartment, locked the door. Stood in the darkness, listening. Silence. I turned on the light, looked around. Everything was in place. Kitchen, couch, bed in the corner, bookshelf. Nothing had changed. I sat on the couch and pulled out my phone, Opened Google and typed, Dave Hollis, veteran, Iraq. Several results came up. LinkedIn profiles, Facebook, pages of people with that name. I scrolled through them. Couldn't be sure which one was the Dave I met. The name was too common. Then I typed, Ramadi 2015 ambush route Michigan. News articles came up. Wikipedia, veteran forums. I read several. Yes, there really were battles in Ramadi in 2015. Route Michigan was a real route used by American troops. August 8th was mentioned in several sources as the date of a major ambush in which several soldiers were killed. So Dave wasn't making it up. He really had been there. He really had served. But what did I have to do with it? I closed my phone and went to bed. Tried to sleep, but couldn't. Thoughts spinning. Maybe I really do look like someone who served with him. Maybe his memory is damaged, and he sincerely believes it was me. Or he knows it's not me, but he's pretending. That thought made me open my eyes. Why would someone pretend we served together? What's the point? I couldn't think of an answer. Fell asleep only towards morning, and the sleep was anxious, full of fragments of images. The alley, the silhouette, Dave's face, the dark street. The next 2 days passed quietly. Dave didn't appear. I worked, went home, tried to get back to normal life. Almost convinced myself it was over. On Sunday morning, I decided to go to the laundromat. I usually wash at home in the shared washing machine in the basement, but it broke a week ago, and the landlord still hadn't fixed it. The nearest laundromat was 5 blocks away on South 1st Street. I gathered my dirty clothes in a bag, left home around 11 in the morning. The day was hot, sun beating down. The streets were half empty. Sunday morning, most people still sleeping or sitting in cafes. The laundromat was small, old. A row of washing machines against one wall, dryers against the other, plastic chairs in the center. Usually there's always someone there, but that morning there was only one woman, elderly, sitting in the corner reading a magazine. I loaded clothes into a machine, inserted quarters, started the cycle, sat on a chair, pulled out my phone, started scrolling through Reddit. After a few minutes, the door opened. I looked up. Dave walked in. He didn't have a laundry bag in his hands, no clothes. He just walked in and looked at me. My heart sank. "Hi, Kyle," he said calmly. I stood up. "What are you doing here?" I asked. My voice came out harsher than I wanted. He shrugged. "Doing laundry?" he said. "Just like you." "You don't have any laundry," I said. He looked at his empty hands, then back at me. "Left it in the car," he said. "No big deal." He walked to one of the washing machines, opened the door, looked inside, closed it, then turned to me. "You're avoiding me," he said. "I'm not avoiding you," I answered. "I'm just living my life." "You don't remember me," he said. Not a question, a statement. "No," I said firmly. "I don't remember you because we never met before last Wednesday." He nodded slowly as if considering my words. "Maybe you just don't want to remember," he said quietly. "What?" "It happens," he continued. "After things like that, the brain blocks memories, defense mechanism. I know guys who don't remember whole months." "I don't have blocked memories," I said, trying to stay calm. "I was never in Iraq. I was never in the military. You've got the wrong person." He looked at me for a long time, too long, then slowly nodded. "Okay," he said, "if that's what you say." He headed for the door, but halfway there he stopped. "By the way," he said, not turning around, "how's your mom?" I froze. "What?" He turned around. His face was calm, almost friendly. "Your mom? How is she? You talked about her, said she was sick." Blood rushed to my face. "How do you know that?" I asked quietly. "You told me," he repeated. "In Ramadi. We were sitting on a rooftop on watch, and you talked about her. Said you wanted to get home before it was too late." My mom died 9 years ago, from cancer. I was with her when it happened. It was the hardest week of my life. How could he know? "Leave," I said. My voice was shaking. "Leave right now or I'm calling the police." He raised his hands in a placating gesture. "Hey, calm down, I just wanted to talk." "Leave." The elderly woman in the corner looked up, staring at us in alarm. Dave nodded. "Okay, I'm going. But if you want to talk, you know where to find me." He left. I stood there, shaking, fists clenched. The elderly woman was looking at me warily. I sat back down on the chair, trying to calm down. How could he know about my mom? I pulled out my phone and opened Google, typed my name, Kyle Everett, Austin, Texas. A few results came up. My Facebook profile, private, but the profile picture visible. An old article in the local paper where my name was mentioned in a list of bar employees who got certified in alcohol service safety. Nothing else. I opened my Facebook. When was the last time I updated privacy settings? Checked. Everything was closed. Only friends could see posts. But there was a post from 9 years ago. I'd written, "Buried mom today. Hardest day of my life." The post was public. I'd forgotten to change the settings back then. So he could have found it, could have read it, could have known. But why? I sat in the laundromat until the washing machine finished its cycle, transferred clothes to the dryer, waited. The whole time thinking about one thing. Dave didn't make a mistake. He knew who I was. He'd been looking for information about me. He was following me. The question was, why? After that night, I couldn't stay in my apartment, couldn't sleep there, knowing he'd been there, standing outside my door, breathing. The next day, I called Lisa. "Can I stay at your place for a few days?" I asked. "Please." She didn't ask questions. "Of course, come over." Lisa lived in a small house in the Hyde Park neighborhood, North Austin. One story with a porch and a small garden. She rented it with a roommate, a girl named Emma, who worked as a nurse. I came with a backpack containing a change of clothes and a phone charger. Didn't take anything else. Didn't want to go back to the apartment longer than necessary. Lisa set me up on the couch in the living room, gave me a pillow and blanket. "Stay as long as you need," she said. "Seriously." "Thanks," I said. "I don't know what I'd do without you." That night passed more quietly. I slept badly. Every sound made me flinch, but at least not in the place where he could find me. The next morning I went to work, took an Uber so I didn't have to walk. The shift passed normally, no incidents. But around 8 in the evening, Jason came up to me behind the bar. "Kyle," he said quietly. "Someone's standing at the back door." My heart sank. "What?" "The camera's showing it, a man standing in the alley by our door, for about 10 minutes now, not moving." I followed Jason to the office. He opened his laptop, showed me the image from the camera. There, in the alley, under the dim light of a street lamp, stood Dave. His back to the camera, but I recognized the silhouette. Broad shoulders, short haircut, denim jacket. Just standing, looking at the door. "Is that him?" Jason asked. "The one who's stalking you?" "Yes," I whispered. "I'm calling the police." Jason dialed 911. I stood watching the screen. Dave didn't move. After a few minutes, he slowly turned and looked directly at the camera, as if he knew we were watching. Then walked around the corner and disappeared. "Damn," Jason said. The police arrived 10 minutes later. The same 2 officers who'd come before. They checked the alley, but Dave was gone. Jason showed them the recording from the camera. "We can use this," the female officer said. "This is evidence now. We'll pass it to Detective Ramirez." They filed a report and left. I finished my shift on autopilot. My hands shook every time I poured a drink. Matt noticed. "Maybe you should go home early," he asked. "No," I said. "I can't keep running." But inside I knew that's exactly what I was doing. On Saturday, October 7th, Detective Ramirez called me. "Kyle, I have news," she said. "We've identified the man from the video." I gripped the phone. "And?" "His name is David Allen Hollis. 43 years old, lives in Round Rock. He has a criminal record." "For what?" "Stalking. 3 years ago. The victim was a woman he worked with. He got probation and a restraining order. The order expired a year ago." My breathing quickened. "So he's done this before?" "Yes, and there's something else. He really did serve in the military. In Iraq, 2014-2016, 2nd Infantry Division." The world tilted. "So he wasn't lying," I whispered. "About his service? No," she said. "But we checked the records. There's no one with the name Kyle Everett who served at the same time in the same unit. So either he's confusing you with someone else, or he's deliberately lying. Why? We don't know, but now we have enough for an arrest warrant. We're looking for him. As soon as we find him, we'll detain him. Thank you, I said. Really, thank you. Be careful. Don't go back to your place until we find him, and keep your phone with you. I promised. Hung up and sat on the couch at Lisa's house. My hands were shaking. David Allen Hollis, 43 years old, criminal record for stalking. He was real. He was dangerous. And the police were looking for him. 3 days passed. Detective Ramirez didn't call. I texted her, but she answered briefly. Still searching. Be careful. I continued living at Lisa's. Went to work and back on Uber. Avoided my neighborhood. Didn't even drive past it. But on Wednesday, October 10th, everything changed. I was on shift. Around 9 in the evening. The bar was full. Wednesday was student discount night, always crowded. Music playing loud, people laughing, drinking, talking. I stood behind the bar, pouring beer, when I felt eyes on me. Turned around. Dave was sitting in the far corner of the room at a table by the window, looking right at me. Time seemed to stop. All sounds disappeared. Music, voices, laughter, everything became distant, muffled. He raised his hand, waved, slowly. I couldn't move. Then he stood up and walked toward me. I stepped back, wanted to shout, call Jason, but my throat tightened. Dave came to the bar, stopped, put his hands on the bar top. "Hi, Kyle," he said calmly. His voice was the same as the first time, deep, calm, almost friendly. "Leave," I forced out. "The police are looking for you." He smiled. "I know. I'll call them right now." "Go ahead," he said. "But first give me 2 minutes. I want to explain something." "I don't need your explanations." "You do," he said quietly. "Because you don't understand." I grabbed my phone from my pocket. With shaking fingers, I started dialing 911. "Did you know Danny Everett?" he asked. I froze. "What?" "Danny Everett, your brother." The world tilted again. "I don't have a brother," I said. "You did," Dave said. "Half-brother, same father. He served with me in Iraq in the 2nd Infantry. We were in the same unit." I couldn't breathe. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Danny Everett," he repeated. Born 1994, Houston, Texas, enlisted in 2013, killed August 8, 2015 in Ramadi, ambush en route Michigan. He was 21. I stood unable to move. "You look like him," Dave continued. "A lot. First time I saw you, I thought it was him. That he somehow survived, changed his name, started a new life. But then I checked. You're not him. You're Kyle, his half-brother, same father." "I never knew my father," I whispered. "I know," Dave said. "Danny barely knew him either. But he talked about you. Said he had a half-brother somewhere in Texas, a few years younger. He wanted to find you after his service, wanted to meet you." My head was spinning. "Why didn't you just tell me?" Dave lowered his eyes. "Because I wanted you to remember on your own. I thought if I talked about Ramadi, about the service, maybe you'd remember something. Maybe Danny had told you about himself before he left. But you didn't remember." "Because I never met him," my voice broke. "I never knew I had a brother." "I know," Dave said quietly. "I know that now. But then, I just wanted you to know about him. For someone to remember." I stood there shaking, tears burning my eyes. "You stalked me, scared me, came to my house, texted me, stood outside my door." "I know," he said. I have problems. After Iraq, I can't communicate normally. Don't know how. I do the wrong things. I'm sorry. I need you to leave," I said, "right now." He nodded, slowly, then pulled something from his pocket and placed it on the bar. A photograph, small, worn. It showed 2 young guys in military uniform against a background of sand and destroyed buildings. One of them, Dave, younger, no gray hair. The other... I took the photograph with shaking hands. The other guy looked like me. Same facial features, same eye shape, same hair. Like I was looking at my reflection. "That's Danny," Dave said quietly. "He was a good guy. Best I ever knew. He saved my life that day. Died covering me." I couldn't look away from the photograph. "Keep it," Dave said. "It's yours. I just wanted you to know about him." He turned and walked to the exit. "Wait," I said. He stopped, turned around. "Is it true?" I asked. "Everything you said?" "Yes," he answered. "You can check. Danny Everett, killed 2015 Ramadi. His name is on the memorial at Arlington." He left. I stood there holding the photograph. Around me the sounds returned. Music, voices, laughter. But I didn't hear them. Looking at the face of the man who was my brother, who I never knew. After a few minutes I came to my senses, put the photograph in my pocket, called Jason, said I needed a break, went outside, pulled out my phone, opened Google, typed, "Danny Everett killed Ramadi 2015. Results appeared immediately. Articles, lists of casualties, memorial pages. Specialist Danny Everett, 21, killed in action, August 8, 2015, Ramadi, Iraq. A photograph, the same one Dave had given me. A young guy in military uniform, smiling. Looking like me. I read further. Biography. Born in Houston. Joined the Army after high school. Served in the 2nd Infantry Division. Killed covering his comrades during an ambush. Father not listed. Mother, Sandra Everett, died 2018. I sat on the curb. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. I had a brother, and I never knew him. When I returned to the bar, Jason was waiting for me at the counter. "Police called," he said. "Detective Ramirez said that guy was here. Camera caught it. They're coming." "I know," I said quietly. He left. Jason looked at me carefully. "Are you okay?" "I don't know," I answered honestly. Detective Ramirez arrived 20 minutes later. I told her everything. About the conversation, about Danny, about the photograph. She listened, took notes. "We'll verify this information," she said. "But even if it's true, it doesn't excuse his actions. He stalked you, scared you, invaded your life. That's a crime." "I know," I said, "but I don't want to press charges against him." She frowned. "Are you sure?" "Yes, he's sick. He needs help, not prison." She sighed. "Okay, that's your decision, but we'll still talk to him, warn him. If he shows up again, call immediately." I nodded. She left. I stayed at the bar, finished my shift, returned to Lisa's. That night I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling. The photograph lay on the table beside me. Danny Everett, my brother, who died when I was 19, at a time when I was working at an Amazon warehouse in Houston, knowing nothing about him. He wanted to find me, meet me, but he didn't make it. And now all I had was a photograph and the words of a stranger who remembered him. I closed my eyes, tears ran down my cheeks. For the first time in a month, I was crying not from fear, but from loss. I didn't go back to my apartment for another 2 weeks. Even when Detective Ramirez called and said they'd found Dave, talked to him, officially warned him, I couldn't make myself go back, not right away. Lisa didn't mind. She and Emma gave me space, didn't ask unnecessary questions. I slept on their couch, went to work, came back, lived in a suspended state. Every night I looked at the photograph. Danny in military uniform, smiling, alive. Tried to find something familiar in his face, something we shared. And I found it. The shape of the chin, the cut of the eyes, the way he squinted slightly in the sun. We were brothers, blood, and I never knew him. I searched for information about him online, found several articles about his death, a memorial page on the Army website, a list of casualties in Ramadi. His name was there, among dozens of others. Specialist Daniel Everett, 21 years old, died protecting his unit. A short biography, born in Houston, attended Reagan High School, played baseball, loved fishing, joined the Army to pay for college, dreamed of becoming a teacher, died 2 years after enlisting. I found his mother's Facebook page, Sandra Everett. She died in 2018, 3 years after her son's death. The last post was from a friend. "Rest in peace, Sandra. You're finally with your boy." No other relatives, no brothers or sisters except me, and I didn't know. One night I wrote a message to Detective Ramirez. "Can you give me Dave Hollis's contact? I want to talk to him." She responded a few hours later. "I can't provide personal information. But if you want to meet with him in a controlled environment, I can arrange it. Are you sure this is a good idea? I wasn't sure, but I wrote, "Yes, please." The meeting took place a week later at the station on 7th Street, the interrogation room, the same one where I'd given my statement. Table, 3 chairs, mirror on the wall. Detective Ramirez sat next to me. The door opened and Dave walked in. He looked different, smaller, more tired, as if in these weeks he'd shrunk. He sat across from me, not looking at me. 15 minutes, the detective said, and I'll be here the whole time. I nodded. Silence, long, heavy. Finally, I spoke. Why didn't you just tell me about Danny? Why all the games? Dave raised his eyes. They were red, tired. Because I went crazy, he said quietly. After Ramadi, after he died, everything got mixed up in my head. I saw him everywhere. Every guy around the same age with similar features. I thought it was him, that he came back. He fell silent, rubbed his face with his hands. I got treatment, pills, therapy, but it didn't help. And when I saw you in that bar, God, you look so much like him. I thought, I don't know what I thought, that if I could make you remember, maybe it would bring him back. Maybe it would fix everything. But I'm not him, I said. I know, Dave said. I know that now, but then I couldn't tell the difference. My head, it doesn't work right. I did terrible things, scared you, stalked you. I'm sorry. I looked at him. This man was broken, destroyed by war, loss, guilt. Did he really save you? I asked. That day? Dave nodded. Yes. We got ambushed. RPG hit our Humvee. I was dazed, couldn't move. Danny pulled me out, covered us with fire while the others retreated. He could have left, should have, but he stayed for me. His voice shook. A sniper hit him in the chest. He died within minutes. I held him. He said he wanted to find his brother, that he wanted to meet you. Asked me to find you if he didn't make it. Tears burned my eyes. And you found me. Yes, Dave said, but wrong. I did everything wrong. I'm sorry. I sat, not knowing what to say. Part of me was still angry at him, for the fear, for the sleepless nights, for the paranoia. But another part understood. He was a victim, just like me. A victim of a war neither of us chose. What do you know about him? I asked finally. About Danny. What was he like? Dave smiled, weakly but genuinely. He was kind, always tried to help. Even when it was hard, he joked, lifted everyone's spirits, loved to read, carried books with him, even in the combat zone, science fiction mostly. I listened, memorizing every word. Did he talk about family? A little. Said his mother raised him alone, that his father left early, that he had a younger brother somewhere who he'd never met but wanted to find. Said you were born the same year as him, just later. That you had the same last name. Everett, I whispered. Yes, he wanted to find you after his service, wanted to have family, even if just a small one. Silence. Then Dave pulled an envelope from his pocket, put it on the table. This is for you, he said. I shouldn't have taken it. But I did. After he died. Wanted to return it to family, but didn't know who. Now I know. I took the envelope, opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a letter, handwritten on lined paper, the ink slightly smudged, the paper worn. I started reading.
Oh.
If someone is reading this, it means I'm gone. My name is Danny Everett. I'm 21 years old. I'm serving in Iraq. If you found this letter, please pass it to my brother. His name is Kyle Everett. He lives in Houston, Texas, or somewhere nearby. I don't know exactly. We've never met. Kyle, if you're reading this, hi, I know it's strange. Finding out about a brother this way, sorry. Our father left when we were little. We have different mothers. I always knew about you, but Mom didn't want me looking for you. Said it would be too hard for everyone. Maybe she was right. But I always thought about you. Wondered what you're like. If you look like me, what music you like, what you do. If I come back, I'll find you, I promise. We'll meet. Maybe have a beer, talk. get to know each other. But if I don't come back, I wanted you to know you had a brother, and he thought about you, always. Take care of yourself, Kyle. Be Danny. I couldn't see the words. Tears blurred my vision. The paper shook in my hands. Detective Ramirez quietly stood and left the room, leaving us alone. Dave sat silently, head down. Thank you, I forced out through tears. Thank you for keeping this. He nodded. He was a good person, Dave said quietly. The best I ever knew. I'm sorry I messed everything up. I folded the letter back into the envelope, put it in my pocket, next to the photograph, all I had from my brother. At the end of October, I returned to my apartment. The new lock worked well. I bought a stronger chain, installed a wide-angle peephole, felt a bit safer. But the nights were still hard. I woke up at every sound, checked the door multiple times, looked out the window expecting to see someone there in the darkness. Dave didn't appear again. Detective Ramirez said he'd left Austin, went back to Round Rock to his mother, started treatment again, agreed not to contact me. I was grateful, but part of me felt empty, because despite all the horror, Dave had given me something valuable. Knowledge. A connection to a past I didn't know existed. I printed Danny's photograph and hung it on the wall in my apartment, next to the letter, which I put in a frame. Every day I looked at them, at the face of the brother I never knew, at the words he wrote, thinking of me. Sometimes I talked to him, out loud in the empty room, told him about my life, about work, about friends, about how the day went, stupid things, mundane things, the things brothers talk about. I felt like he was listening. A month passed, then two. Life slowly returned to normal. I still worked at Copper and Oak, still lived alone, still walked the same routes, though now I looked over my shoulder more often. The paranoia didn't go away. It became part of me. Every stranger on the street, every glance, every sound at night, everything made me tense. But I was learning to live with it. Lisa sometimes asked how I was coping. Fine, I'd say, better than before. It was the truth, and a lie at the same time. One evening in early December, I received a letter in the mail. An ordinary white envelope, no return address, postmark, Round Rock, Texas. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a note, short, handwritten. Cal. I'm leaving Texas, moving to my sister's place in Oregon, starting over. I want you to know, I won't bother you anymore. I promise. Danny would be glad I found you, even if I did it terribly. Take care of yourself. B. I folded the note, put it in the desk drawer, next to the other evidence, notes, screenshots, police reports. It was over. But not quite. Sometimes, late at night, when I lie in bed and listen to the sounds of the old house, I think about Dave. I wonder if he found peace, if he managed to start over, if he stopped seeing ghosts. I wonder if he thinks about me, the way I think about him, and about Danny, the brother I never knew, who thought about me in his last moments, who wanted to meet, have a beer, talk. We'll never get that chance, but sometimes, when I look at his photograph, when I read his letter, I feel something, a connection, a thin thread stretched across time and death. He was my brother. I never knew him, but now I do. It's been 6 months since Dave first walked into the bar. Life goes on, I still work, still live in the same apartment, still alone. But sometimes, when I walk down the street, I look over my shoulder. Not because I'm afraid of Dave, he's gone, I believe that, but because the habit remains. The feeling that someone might be watching, might be following, might know more than they should. This paranoia will never completely go away. It's embedded in me, changed me. I'm not the same person I was in September. I look at people differently, trust less, always on guard. And sometimes when I see a stranger who looks at me too long, my heart stops. Because I know it could happen again. Not necessarily Dave, someone else. Someone who has their own reason, their own obsession, their own lie. The world is full of such people. Broken, lost, clinging to others to fill the void inside. And sometimes they choose you, for no reason, without warning, just because you were there, at the right time, in the right place, or the wrong one. Yesterday I was at work, regular shift. Nothing special. Around 9 in the evening, a man walked in. Middle-aged, in a plaid shirt with a backpack. He came to the bar, sat down. "Whiskey," he said. "Jack Daniels neat." I poured, put the glass in front of him. He took it, sipped, then looked at me. For a long time. "Kyle?" he asked. My heart skipped a beat. I looked at him more carefully, didn't recognize him. "Yes," I answered slowly. "And you are—" He smiled. "I knew your father." And it all started again.